a great big package of value, this 1937 Plymouth.
For more than a century, cars have largely stayed the same.
See those wheels, Dan?
4 wheels, an engine, a steering wheel, and a driver. Human and mechanics.
3 weeks ago, we bought another Ford. Dave has it all to himself. And I now have the ranch wagon all to myself. It's a whole new way of life.
The marketing set up a relationship between car and driver. Car ownership meant status and freedom.
Free to be the guy you wanna be. Free to be the girl you're gonna be. And Mustang 68.
But that relationship is about to end. Cars are divorcing their drivers.
Oh my gosh, it's changing lanes on its own. I'm not touching it at all, and it's driving. Whoa, whoa.
Driverless technology is completely changing the game, and the effects will domino far beyond the car industry. Entire job sectors will be hit. Basically, any position with a driver will be redefined. We will almost surely experience a radical shift in how we move, where we live, and what our cities look like.
There's a really rare opportunity that doesn't even come in every generation, and we're pretty lucky because it's happening in ours, where we can fundamentally rethink the urban landscape as a result of a new technology.
Jennifer Kiesmat is Toronto's chief urban planner. She sees the changes ahead, and she's excited.
We can design roads in a fundamentally different way. We can likely narrow the roads, because I also believe that vehicles will become much smaller. We can narrow the roads, meaning we can expand the public space. We can expand the area in very urban environments where we have cafes, street side.
It's a world that Barry Kirk has been lobbying governments for years, and he thinks we're now racing towards a tipping point.
And there are 2 mega trends. One trend is towards automation. The other trend is towards the shared society, as we see with Uber and Airbnb and others. And when those 2 trends converge, and we have shared use of driverless taxis, that's going to have a huge impact.
Kirk says we're only a decade or so away from that reality, and when it comes, it will eventually put drivers under the scope.
Let's say in 2030 or 2035, if we can prove by then that computers are much safer drivers than humans, and that humans by comparison are dangerous, is it ethical to allow humans to keep on driving? There will be collisions, and unfortunately, there will be fatalities, but a lot fewer than we have now.
93% of accidents right now are the result of human error. In a driverless world, ask yourself this: would we need as many police, firefighters, ambulances? What about doctors, hospital beds? Autonomous vehicles are getting better and better. Check out this dashcam video inside a driverless Tesla, avoiding what almost certainly would be a crash. It senses that a car is about to cut in front of it and hits the brakes just in time. There's no doubt driverless cars react faster than people can. In fact, the biggest worry for the experts is not a future with all driverless cars. It's the in-between time before we get there, when human drivers share the road with computer drivers.
What's been happening with the Google vehicles is that humans see a car, they know it's being driven by a computer, they know it's a very, very good defensive driver, so they'll cut in front of it and do silly, stupid, dangerous things.
System is active.
Traditional car companies like Volvo, Lexus, and Mercedes are diving into the autonomous market, but they're not trying to replace the driver. After all, they're the customer. But Google, among others, isn't even putting in a steering wheel.
Isn't that cute?
Their bet that cars are safer when computers are in charge, and people will see that and like it.
There's no steering wheel in the way.
One of the impacts will be on the traditional car industry. And Morgan Stanley in the US has predicted the end of the auto industry as we now know it.
Car dealerships, gone. Car ownership, unnecessary. Sound crazy? The trend has already started.
And studies have shown that the millennials in general are moving away from car ownership.
And consider this, the people that do own a car now barely use it.
Right now, cars are profoundly underutilized assets. The average car is used 4% of the time. Mind-boggling. 96% of the time you buy this very expensive asset, it sits in your driveway or it sits in the parking lot at work.
Toronto's chief urban planner owns a car now, but believes the day is coming when almost no one will.
Once you get to self-driving cars, it becomes even more absurd to have a car that you don't use because you don't even drive it. So why would you have this unit just sitting in your driveway when it could be going out and doing the job itself?
Is that the world we're heading towards? No cars? No personal ownership of cars?
I think it's going to become, I think you're just not going to need them.
So companies like Uber become the model. It is already heavily invested in developing its own automated vehicle, and it won't be long until Uber rolls out a fleet of driverless taxis on demand.
You know, you hit your phone and you use them on an as-needed basis, and no more circling the block, looking for parking. That's out. That was the past.
A future where driverless taxis will always be working, eliminating the need to park, freeing up a huge amount of land. Right now, between driveways, parking lots, and spaces, 1/3 of the land in Canadian cities is for cars that aren't moving. Space soon for walkways, parks, homes, and offices.
When you take parking out, when you take the assumption that you'll have a lot of vehicles that are underutilized in the road network, you actually start to see a transformation of how we will plan our land and how we will plan our spaces in the city.
But cities will also lose revenue. All those parking tickets, speeding too, since automated cars won't. The change will not be gradual. It's already begun in transit systems. Cities in Europe already run automated buses in designated zones. From France to Greece to Switzerland, people have quickly adapted. That concept will soon be coming to a new development in Ottawa, and Toronto's subways are on the verge of becoming driverless too.
It will result in a 25% increase in capacity. That's astounding.
Just because you can run those trains more often
Just
and
because
closer
you can,
together.
Just because you can run the trains more often, but most importantly, closer together. And this is because you don't have to worry about human error.
Cars may be among the last mass adoption, but even they are only a decade or so away, a moment of major change to urban environments. But not magic. It can't fix everything.
The illusion of driverless cars is that somehow traffic congestion disappears. Well, now you can open your laptop and have a latte and that'll be really enjoyable. But don't fool yourself. You're still sitting in traffic. That's not something that's going to change.
So it seems rush hour traffic might just be the only thing that won't change in a driverless future. David Common, CBC News, Toronto.